we are mildly interesting guys, and we talk about some stuff. So welcome to the podcast, we call it Joel the Podcast. It's Alex and it's Alex, here for Joel the Podcast. Hello everybody, I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast, Joel. Here we are for episode 35, take 1. And it's a very exciting episode. I think we've got a good one here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to cover, lots of listener interactions. It's all the same listener, but that's still pretty exciting.
Exactly. So, first off, I just wanted to announce that we will be having another world tour traveling podcast. We don't know the exact date yet, but it will be in the fall, and
around the same time as our previous. It'll be pretty much a year after our initial one.
Yeah.
Depending on which weekend we pick.
Yes. So, do you want to reveal the location?
Let's keep the anticipation up. Let's keep it a secret for now.
All right.
We'll reveal in a couple episodes. That way our listeners have to keep listening if they want to hear about it.
Yeah, if they want to hear when our next world, just because we got so much interest last time, we know people will want to will be flocking to in droves to our secret location. So
nobody came upstairs for our last tour. Nobody's gonna travel to an entirely different location for this one.
Yes, spoiler.
I love the optimism. So
yeah, spoiler. It's not Purdue. So
yeah. Which I was thinking as we were planning this upcoming trip, one of my predictions at the end of the top 10 highlights episode we did was that we would podcast live together somewhere that was not your location or my location, and it looks like that's going to become true.
Yep. So stay tuned for that juicy piece of gossip. All right. So another thing you may notice, well, I guess the first thing, I didn't say a previous thing, but you may notice that we are back into our crystal clear HD audio.
Right.
We got one person emailed us saying that we should continue doing that. So hopefully those 3 or 4 episodes in between the last time we did it and now are bearable. But
I think they were pretty funny episodes, which is a point in their favor.
Good, yeah.
So
we'll be, the plan is from now on to be doing this higher quality audio. So you're welcome, and send us an email thanking us because we're pretty great.
And I'm gonna have to do extra audio editing to make this work. So
yes, although for the future ones you won't have to insert a bunch of clips, which would make it a little easier.
yeah, hopefully it won't take me like 3 weeks to put this episode together.
Right. One thing that I think is a benefit of this is that since we start recording before we start talking, unlike what we were doing before,
Yeah.
we'll probably get a little bit of maybe before talk or after talk, like at the end of whatever episode it was where I was just like, that was a shit show. I don't know if you left that in the episode, but
I deliberately left that in.
yeah. So hopefully we'll get some more of those.
Yeah, lots of great self-commentary. Maybe we should just start recording well, probably not. I was going to say maybe we should just record our entire calls and then just pick out the podcast bit plus some of the other times that we're being funny, but doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Yeah, so all right, so here we are. I guess we should probably start the episode. We're episode 35, like I said, starting off with Nathan does not owe me $1, but leading into the next thing, it's looking increasingly more and more likely that I will owe him $1. Right.
Purdue is 500 now, right?
Yeah, that's right. They are
so
14, maybe that's not right, but something like that. They've lost 4 straight, I think, or 3 straight.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't I don't know. I haven't been.
Right, and so there's 3 games left until the Big Ten tournament. So I think in order to make the national the March Madness tournament, Purdue will probably have to win all 3, which will be a tough task.
I think even beyond that, they're going to have to win some games in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I think if they win their last 3 and they win at least 1 game in the Big Ten tournament, they'll make it, because they have Rutgers and Iowa in their last 3, which are 2 tough teams.
Imagine saying that any other year.
Yeah, I know, right? Actually, so the other day, number 8 Penn State lost to Indiana, which was terrible. But
right.
I saw somebody comment on the Reddit thread that was like, I didn't expect Indiana to beat number 8 Penn State until October.
Yeah, that definitely seems like a fake basketball thing.
Seems like a football thing. So
right.
But anyway, there's your Purdue update. The Sixers continue to be excellent at home and terrible on the road.
I think they beat the Lakers recently, didn't they?
They beat the Clippers.
The Clippers?
Yep.
Same thing, right?
No, but they're both good teams from LA, so pretty close.
Right.
They beat the Clippers at home. They lost to the Bucks on the road. And
that's understandable, I think.
Yes, but
as far as I know.
Yeah, and honestly, it's my first time. The Bucks have the best offense in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't watch the Bucks very much, if at all. This was probably like the second game where I watched the Bucks. And this game I was really like, I can see why their offense is so good, because Giannis is like, you have to send at least 2 people to guard him if he's driving or posting up.
Yep.
And when you do that, he can just pass it out for an open 3, and they have very good shooters. So it's just like, what do you even do?
Make all of your own shots.
So, but actually, before watching this game, I was of the opinion that the Sixers could probably not necessarily will, but could beat any other team in the East.
Yeah.
But I'm now thinking that may not be the case against the Bucks. They might just be too good. But they have beaten the Bucks already this season, so it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. But they are playing right now, and they are beating the Hawks at home, so they should win that one.
All right.
So if they don't win, send us an email and tell me I'm a dumbass.
That is an appropriate use of that subject line.
Yep. All right. So speaking of sending us an email and telling us we're dumbasses, we got 4 emails since the last episode. All from Cephalopod Master. So first of all, thank you very much, Cephalopod Master. We really appreciate all the emails you're sending us. And these are all pretty good emails. So unlike your last one, thank you. You definitely redeemed yourself here.
Yeah.
So most of them are pretty short, so why don't we... Do you have any other sports things before we get into them?
No, I do
All right.
not. I
All right,
feel like I did, but I don't.
Great. Oh, last sports thing is spring training for baseball started. So I've been getting Philly scores. Anyway. All right. So let's get into these emails. So you want to read the first one?
Yeah, so our first one was sent to us 5 days ago, last Wednesday. It says, "Hi Alex and Alex. It sounds like you actually did the new recording thing you talked about last time. It sounds good. You should continue doing it."
All right.
So thanks. Done.
Yeah. By the way,
check.
Subject of that email, I am a
Oh,
dumbass.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and
Yep.
thank you for your suggestion. As you can tell, we took that advice. So, all right. Next
Right.
email. It was sent on that same evening, 30 minutes later. The subject is "You are dumbasses." Here's the email. "Hi, reference episode 31, 17 minutes 40 seconds. I will not apologize because you guys asked listeners to use subject line, 'You guys are dumbasses,' in episode 29, 4207. Since you forgot that you said that, you are actually dumbasses now. It's official. P.S. To be fair, the subject line is taken a little bit out of context since you asked specifically for a better idea on how to power the time machine. But seeing that you guys take sound bites out of a context a lot, I don't think it warrants an apology.
I want to start off by saying thank you for being fair in that PS. I think you were more than fair, though. You just proved our entire point. You took that out of context because we very specifically said that you should do that for a certain thing.
So I actually don't recall. What did we say you should do that for?
Well, it says right there, a better idea on how to power the time machine.
Right. Well, okay. I thought you were talking about something else. Okay, so...
I assume that's true. I haven't listened to that episode recently, so we're kind of just taking his word for it, but since he went and admitted it, we might as well, right?
So wait, okay, so I'm not... I guess I am a dumbass here because I am not quite understanding. So is he saying that we... So I remember when we said that we should... Okay, so let me clear something up, Cephalopod Master.
Yeah.
When we criticized you for using the line "you are dumbasses," we weren't saying that you just made that up and sent it to us and that was mean.
Right. No, that's true.
We definitely remembered that we asked listeners to use that subject line. It was really, and I don't actually mind that you used that line in and of itself. It was just the fact that you used it and then yeah. So and I know we maybe. All right, I need you to spin this because I'm going off the rails here.
All right, I think Alex is doing a great job of demonstrating exactly why we are not dumbasses. So,
what?
I think it's really unfair to have called us that in your original email, especially when your movie plot had some plot holes which you didn't actually address in this email. So.
Yeah, so let me say this. This may not be as funny as we were intending, but I understand where you're coming from now, Cephalopod Master, and I hope you can understand where we were coming from, and therefore will not apologize. And that's all I have to say on that.
All right, let's move on before we embarrass ourselves.
That's too late for that.
Seem
all right.
too clever here. The next email. So this is in response to, I think, our most recent episode.
I believe that's correct.
Where we discussed getting paid money to do things, which seems kind of vague, but if you listen to the episode, you know exactly what we're talking about. Cephalopod Master says, if anyone paid me $10,000 a year post-tax to watch Netflix for 3 hours a day, and I'm allowed to do something else while watching, I will definitely do it because that's 50% of my salary.
Okay, so first of all, I hope you were okay with having your salary revealed on air here to everyone, but...
Well, this isn't the first email that we've read verbatim on the podcast, so
true.
I think he saw it coming.
Hopefully you expected that, but...
Also, he's a grad student, so, I mean, everyone is...
Well, I don't know that everyone
surprised.
Listening may have necessarily known that.
Well, they do now, surprise.
They do now. All right, so, Cephalopod, let me say this. I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I think the whole point of the challenge was that you're not allowed to do something else while watching. The whole point of the challenge was that you have to do this thing, and you may enjoy doing it, but if you can't just be like, oh, I'll put Netflix on in the background while I do whatever I want. That's kind of cheating. So... Right. I'm interested to know what it sounds like $10,000 a year is still a big deal to you, so I expect that you would probably still take it even if you couldn't do something else. But email us with what your answer is if you can't do something else while watching, because I'm curious to hear about that.
Right. I also, when I first read this, I do want to say that I knew this was the situation, right? But we are well paid, relatively speaking.
Right.
And so I feel a little bit bad that we discussed casually, maybe I wouldn't want an extra $10,000 a year. What would I even do with it?
Yeah, Yeah,
It's,
sorry that we're stuck up and rich. If you're poor and hate us because we're rich, please email us. By the way, for those of you who don't know our email, you can find it at our website, which is alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalex@joelthepodcast.website. And since our email's pretty long, we thought it would be good to put it on there. So
right.
visit there and send us an email.
Also, I do want to say, I don't know if I can speak for you, but at least for myself, if you're offended by us making fun of anyone's monetary situation, feel free to Venmo request me 1 cent. I would gladly.
Will you pay them the 1 cent?
I didn't want to have to say this on the podcast, but absolutely not. That is my cent. I earned it.
Just because you're offended by us, you think you're entitled to one of our cents?
All right, let's move on from that one as well, because we
Yeah. By the way,
we did a
I
real
don't think.
great job answering these. I think.
Yeah, I don't think we ever actually made fun of anyone for being poor.
No,
just-
definitely not.
So if you are offended by that, then you shouldn't be offended because we didn't do it. So all right,
You
here
did a
we go.
bad job comprehending.
All right,
It's
here we
your
go.
fault.
This email was sent. Was this email sent today, 30 minutes ago?
No, this email was sent 23 hours ago. Do you think it's Sunday?
Oh yeah, Sunday was yesterday. Yeah, I'm a dumbass. All right. This email's subject, I'm a dumbass. It says, 1. Do an episode on aliens.
Deal.
Yeah, okay, I mean, okay, but you're gonna have to be more specific because we can't just ramble about aliens for 45 minutes.
I mean, we totally could, but it might be better if you are more specific, or at least give us like.
Right, do you want a story about aliens?
Right.
Do you want our opinions on real aliens?
Yes.
So, let us know what you're interested in, and we'll definitely do that. 2, Joel Bop sounds fun, so maybe do it every now and then. So I believe he's referring to when we... Okay, I don't remember which one we called Joel Bop. Was it us coming up with humorous lyrics for a song, or us coming up with hyper-offensive lyrics for a song?
I thought he was just talking about the concept of us doing the Kids Bop game.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, so I mean... Yeah, that's something we could do.
If that's not correct, feel free to email us.
Yeah,
by
so
visiting our website
obviously this one also requires further clarification because we're dumbasses.
Right.
Um,
Definitely, if you are referring to the game show, though, I had a lot of fun doing that, and I would be open to other game show ideas.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
because
Please send us game show ideas. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think we may have discussed this off the air, because I don't remember hearing about it when I listened back to the episode, but we are interested in doing that exact thing again, except we stole it from another YouTuber, and they only did one other one, so our source material is pretty limited, and it does seem like a lot of work to come up with all of the fake Kids Bop lyrics if we were
Yeah.
to continue doing that specific thing.
So yeah. So the bottom line is we will definitely do it at least one more time,
Right.
and we may do it more if there seems like there's interest and we also feel like it.
Yeah. Or if you have other ideas that would be easier to do maybe and still fun, then we could definitely do those as well.
Yep. So-
But I had fun with the game show. That was good.
Yes. All right. And here's number 3. Since you guys started an advice podcast, please help me with deciphering this note on my phone. See attachment that I made 9 months ago. It doesn't make sense to me because I am a dumbass. And the note is, okay, here's what the note says. 734-towel. 713-games. 633-box of stuff and hand towel. 532-clothes. 1135 thumb drive. So why don't you tell me what your insight was on this at first?
Right. Before I get too far into it, this may be a bit of a stretch because I've said this before and it didn't happen, but I will really tried to remember to put this image up as the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
that's on the video right now. That way all of our viewers can ponder it along with us as we speak. But
Right.
the first thing that really jumped out to me, and I don't know that this is true, but all of those numbers look like they could be times.
Oh, right.
11:35, 5:32, 6:33.
Yeah, so all the
and
numbers
so
could
on.
be times. That's a good observation.
I don't know that helps me understand any more meaning to this, though.
Right. So let me throw something out there that may get your brain going a little bit. So
Sure.
there's a created in the bottom right hand of the image. It says created 5/5/19,
Okay.
which is about finals week. And so
Okay.
presumably he was moving out of his apartment or wherever he was living, maybe Hawkins at that time. So I'm thinking maybe this list has something to do with moving. Like my first thought, which this is probably not it, but was that he had marked boxes or something with these numbers. But that doesn't make sense because there's no order or any sense to these numbers if that were the case.
Right.
But I suspect it may have something to do with moving out of wherever he was living at the time.
maybe we were on the wrong track, or I was, I suppose. Maybe the numbers are room numbers in the building, and
What?
this is some sort of like lost and found list of like people that are claiming different things.
What building would have this many floors? Because presumably a room that would be 532 would be on the 5th floor.
Right.
So like,
I don't know.
yeah, that's See, times makes a lot of sense, except that these are in such a random order, and I don't know how times would have anything to do with the things they're associated with here.
Yeah. So okay, so let's take a closer look at the things. We've got thumb drive, clothes, box of stuff, and hand towel.
Uh-huh.
Now that one's interesting to me because a hand towel is stuff.
Right, presumably...
So why wasn't the hand towel included in the stuff?
Right, I read that as it's a box of stuff that's alike, like maybe office supplies or any other group of things that you wouldn't say it's this, but they're all related. And then the hand towel is just kind of a different category, but he didn't want to type out like, oh, it's a box of office supplies and a hand towel. It's just a box of stuff and a hand towel.
Sure.
So, and then games and then towel.
Games and towel, not hand towel.
Right. So
Regular towel.
actually the diversity of stuff here, like clothes, games, towel, that seems to support my theory that it's like he's moving out
Right.
or into somewhere.
The other interesting thing to me is that if we're right and these are times, the times are going backwards from top to bottom. So it's like if you were adding these things at that time, you would insert the thing at the top of the file every time and push everything else down, which doesn't seem to be the way you would type a note. Unless it is. If it is, Cephalopod Master, please email us, let us know.
Yeah, so...
But...
so that's interesting you mentioned that, because I actually read the 11:30... I read this, like, all as PM, so it was, like, constantly decreasing and then one random later one, but...
Right, okay.
But that your thing makes more sense, that 11:35 was just be, 6 hours before the 5:32.
Right.
So, but yeah, it doesn't make sense that he would type it out like this, I would think. Okay, let me ask you this. So I remember that David stayed at Purdue much further than May 5th, because
Right.
we were there well into the month and he was also there.
Right.
So do you know if he moved around this time? Because this may not be related to moving at all, as it turns out, because I know he was there that long.
Right.
I mean, he may have moved to like a summer place? I
Yeah.
don't actually know. Do you know?
I don't actually remember. So if it's not moving, what do you think it would be? Because making some sort of packing list seems kind of reasonable to me, except I don't know why you would do that in the first place. If that makes sense.
Right.
Like, if you're gonna do it, you would have these things on it, but I don't know why you would do it.
Right. Okay. So if he's not moving, what is he doing with this list? What else could this stuff be related to?
Obviously, the numbers are way too large for it to be like he has
He has
734
1,000
towels.
thumb drives. I really think these numbers have got to be times. Nothing else makes sense.
Right.
All right. Well, okay. So I really have no idea what else it could be if he's not moving. I mean, I think he traveled during that time.
Yeah.
So it could still be packing even if it wasn't. Yeah, like I don't know if you're. I might just be remembering wrong, but I feel like we were talking about making plans or something, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm leaving on X day." Yeah, he definitely went somewhere. I don't remember where though.
Maybe went home for a while. It does seem reasonable that he was listing stuff that he thought he might forget, and then was like, I need to write this down.
Right.
But then why put the times there as well?
Yeah, the times just make no sense. Like,
Right.
even if they have to, they can't be not times, but why would you put them there?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So.
Well, I think this is as far as we're gonna get on it, and it's also
Yeah,
probably
I
not
don't-
that interesting to anyone else. So hopefully, Cephalopod, we have jogged your memory by mentioning some of this stuff, and you now remember what this is for, because I'm probably gonna go insane if I never find out what this actual.
Yeah, you definitely need to tell us, because now I have to know.
Yeah. So
Um,
send us an
if-
email and let us know what
If we
what it
didn't
was.
manage to help you remember, hopefully I remember to put this as the video. And then second, hopefully, is one of our millions of viewers will see this and instantly know the answer.
Right.
And I just want to say before I forget that several times in response to these emails we received, we said to email us. Feel free to just put all of those into one big email, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, yeah, and also if any of the things that we guessed that they're not right, also let us know that. So maybe you can help narrow it down or whatever. But
If he doesn't know what this is at this point, I wonder if we should make like a 30-second segment at the beginning of every podcast where we just try and speculate new ideas and get crazier each time, because we would have to, right? We can't just like every week be like, I really do think those were times in the packing list.
right, I
For
wonder
30
how
more
I wonder
seconds.
how long we could do that for. Like, I bet for maybe like 4 or 5 times we could just come up with crazy explanations for this, but I feel like eventually it would run out. But maybe
Yeah.
we'll do that.
Maybe this was the beginnings of his plan to spend $115 million on Amazon in 10 hours.
Okay, hold on to those crazy ideas for the next episode.
All right. That is the end of the emails that we received.
Yes. So once again, thank you so much, Cephalopod, for sending all those emails. We really do appreciate getting listener feedback and questions.
It makes it very easy for us to fill like 20 minutes on the podcast just by reading what you said and then saying things about it.
Yeah, it makes it
So-
less work for us, which we're always
Which is-
interested in.
Excellent. Yes.
So all right, and also if you're a listener other than Cephalopod Master, you got some catching up to do here. We need to get some emails from you.
Right. We've got, I think at this point, 7 or 8 emails from Cephalopodmaster, 1 email from Ben.
Yeah, Ben, you're slacking.
Several emails from Google about signing in on different devices. I think they might actually be in the lead.
So those emails from Google aren't about adding a fake email button?
Oh, I mean, obviously, other than the ones that were in the commercial.
Right. I wonder if anyone actually paused on those to see. By the way, I'm excited to see that our commercial has 33 views, which is more than twice as many as any other video. So, thank you.
I've received some good feedback on it. I actually go ahead and talk for a while because I'm gonna look up a message that I got and I'll read it to you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that the commercial was a lot of work, not for me, but it's really good to see. It's really good to see that people seem to be interested in it, and hopefully it. I'm just waiting for that first story where somebody says I showed the commercial to someone and then they started listening to the podcast.
Well, this may be that story. I don't know all the facts, but
all right, here we go.
It's essentially what happened was Cephalopodmaster sent to one of our mutual friends, "Please consider subscribing to this quality content," and then sent the link to our commercial. And the response was, "Yo, WTF, this is awesome." So,
you have to tell me after we're finished broadcasting who, I said podcasting. You have to tell me who that was. But...
And this is our broadcast, Joel.
It's a really say that next time. I hope we remember.
Yeah.
All right. So
I would like to, at this point, since I opened up the message to read, I noticed another message that I received and then forgot about. But I'm going to take this opportunity to commit myself to doing a little bit more video editing, because at this point we're going to take a quick commercial break and to play our own commercial in the middle of this podcast.
Why? Hello, everybody. I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our commercial,
Joel.
We know our videos are long, and that can be intimidating.
So we made this commercial to give you an idea of what our podcast is like.
Unfortunately, my laptop's not that good anymore because I've spilled milk on it.
There's no coming back when your opponent scores 21 more points than you and the game is over.
I think we should raise 100 or even more kids without ever saying the word GIF to them, and then seeing how they pronounce it when they grow up.
Here at Joel the Podcast, we've dedicated hours to putting little to no effort into becoming the greatest podcast on YouTube, and you could say we're well on our way.
But you'd be wrong.
So let's talk sharing beards.
My reaction was more like, huh.
But unfortunately, my nipples are useless.
Although our podcast may not be the best, we do have some funny moments.
Don't believe him? Neither do I.
I happen to be an expert on Kids Bop.
Listen, just because you haven't punched a baby doesn't make you entitled to one of my dollars.
Despite what Nathan says, we do have rave reviews.
Let's hear from our loyal fan.
Are you depressed and have no friends? Well, these people are so desperate that you can email them and they'll talk to you like you're their friend.
What an amazing endorsement!
So if you have hours of time with nothing to do, give us a chance.
I guess, first of all, I'm not a poop scientist, but I don't think all poop tastes the same. NFL player picked up the referees and threw them into the stands.
I think they would be arrested.
We promise you won't regret it.
That is a lie.
So if you have any questions or comments that won't hurt our feelings,
please email us at alexandalex@joelthepodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, I'm a dumbass.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this has been our commercial, Joel. All right, welcome back.
Here we are.
What a hilarious commercial.
If you're not subscribed, please do that, because that's the kind of content that we crank out regularly.
Once a year. All right. I do actually love the commercial though. I think it's very good.
Yes.
And even though you did most of the work on it, I think the actual content, which is the more of the funny part, was a good team effort by both of us. So
Right, that was a joint venture. We
really,
did good.
I really am just trying to give myself some credit here. So good job, myself. All right. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, I guess if you're listening to this, you've probably already seen the commercial, so I'm not sure why we just showed it, but that brings me to another thing. If you are a listener and you know one of us personally, we also accept feedback or anything that we would normally get in an email by, any other means of communicating with us, such as text. So although we prefer that you send us an email, if you are too lazy, I get that. Just shoot us a text with whatever's on your mind about the podcast. And if you don't know us personally, you'll have to use the emails. But
Luckily, there's a website to make that easy.
yeah, if you don't know us personally, wow, that's pretty
Monumental.
amazing. Yeah, monumental. Please email us. All right. So why don't we get started here at the main, quote unquote, main part of our podcast. So I don't think we mentioned this last week, but a new format we're trying is top 10 lists.
Our top 10 list of ourself was a lot of fun to do, so now we're going to do it about other stuff.
Yes. So we're going to try and make them funny, meaning that these are not serious for the most part. I mean, this one's not. I don't know if we'll ever do one in the future, but these are not serious top 10 lists. So if you're like, "Oh, that's clearly not the best sandwich," please email us with your top 10 anyway, but don't get mad at us for any of the actual items on this list. Although actually this list might make you mad, so if you do get mad about this list, that's fair enough. So like I just said, today we'll be talking about our top 10 sandwiches. So
We spent quite a while coming up with this list.
yeah, by quite a while, I'm not going to disclose. It was really just so long. Yeah, so I wanted to kick off this before we said any of the items on the list with a quick discussion of what is a sandwich. Because, that's obviously a very important distinction to make when you're making a list of best sandwiches.
Right.
And so if you're okay, let me just say this right now. If you are that might give too much away. Let's all right. We're considering a sandwich to be. Are we saying no? I guess we're not saying that.
Why don't we just begin?
Yeah. I'm just gonna ruin it if I keep talking. So let's get started. Number 10, we're coming in with a classic sandwich here. Is hot dog. So obviously, if you don't think, let me just say this: if you think a hot dog is not a sandwich, first of all, email us. But second of all, you're very wrong.
Right.
There's literally no reason a hot dog is not a sandwich. And really, hot dogs are, a classic food. Barbecues, cookouts, or just, heating one up on the stove. Obviously, we're including that the hot dog has to be on a bun. If you just have a hot dog by itself, that's not a sandwich.
Right. And that makes, I don't think anyone can argue with that. That makes
right,
sense.
So, but, I like ketchup and mustard on my hot dog personally. What about you?
Yeah, I would go for the same. I'm also a big fan of the Chicago style of hot dog where you just put a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah, I do not like that.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I also like chili cheese dogs. That's a very
Let me tell you what my favorite kind of hot dog is. My dad makes it. It's called a Texas Tommy. I don't know if that's like a real name or he just made it up, but
means nothing to me. So.
It's a hot dog with bacon and cheese on it.
Huh.
It's really good.
You know what? That actually reminds me that the other day at work for lunch, I had that, except it also had crunched up pretzel sticks on it.
Oh, that actually also sounds pretty good.
It was good. I told Shelby about it, and she was like, "That's strange. That's a strange combination of
You
things."
know, now that
but-
I live by myself, I can definitely just make that.
right?
Man. All right,
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it is. All right. So, yeah, coming in at number 10, hot dog.
Right. Bump it up a couple spots if you also put bacon and cheese and stuff on it. Apparently.
Well, I don't
That's-
know if it's better
sounds
than
pretty
these
good.
other sandwiches, but let's get into it.
All right. Well, yeah. Let's move on. You can decide for yourself. Number 9 is obvious. Yet another classic. It's just a loaf of bread.
Yeah, I think, I mean, some people might be upset that that's on the list of top 10 sandwiches, but I think it's really hard to argue that that's not a sandwich.
Yeah. It's pretty clear to me. Like if you think of a sandwich as stuff between bread, or even like stuff between stuff, if you're being really abstract.
Right.
A loaf of bread is nothing but bread between bread.
Right. And so I guess you could say it's like a bread sandwich.
Right. I mean, maybe the most sandwichy of anything you can have.
Right. And now some people out there might be thinking, well, wait a minute. Are you saying a loaf of bread is better than a hot dog? And the answer is obviously it's an entire loaf compared to a hot dog. It's just like one meal. Like, how could you say a loaf of bread is not better than a hot dog?
Right. In fact, if you had a loaf of bread and a bunch of hot dogs, you could have a lot of hot dogs.
Right.
By
Well, I mean,
wrapping the bread around the hot dogs.
then it wouldn't be a loaf of bread anymore. It would be a bunch of hot dogs. But, you know, it's a perfectly valid point.
I'm now reconsidering everything because it just occurred to me that if number 10 is hot dog and number 9 is loaf of bread, but then you can add the hot dog to the loaf of bread to have a hot dog again. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense because once you add the hot dogs, it's not a loaf of bread anymore. It's hot dogs.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so, by the way, I think it's appropriate that that number 9 is a loaf of bread because I think that is a classic real Joel, meal here. So
Forgot about that.
that might be
yeah.
real Joel's favorite sandwich.
Right.
Real Joel, please email us and let us know what your favorite sandwich is.
If he actually emails us, I will send him a loaf of bread. In
Joel,
reward.
if you're listening and you email us, we will send you a loaf of bread. But you
There
must
you go.
include a picture of yourself so we know it's you.
Right. And then once you receive the bread, I mean, obviously we have no way to enforce this, but we would really appreciate it if you sent us a picture of you with the bread so we
Right.
could see just how much you appreciate it.
Exactly. All right, let's move on here. Number 8, coming in strong with an Oreo. I mean, this one might be a little bit out there as far as, considering it a sandwich, but I think it's pretty clearly a sandwich. Here's where we're gonna stray a little bit because the ends of it are not bread, they're cookies. But I think that's perfectly reasonable to call that a sandwich. And of course, Oreos, no doubt, better than a loaf of bread and hot dogs. Oreos are really delicious.
Right.
Let me just say something that may cause a lot of controversy, even more than this list itself. When I eat an Oreo, I do not separate the cookie and the cream. I just take a bite out of the whole thing. And I know that may be, controversial, but I really enjoy the combination of the chocolate and the cream. So
Yeah.
what about
No,
you?
I can respect that. My preferred method is usually to peel them apart so that you've got cookie and then cookie plus cream.
Uh-huh.
Then you eat the cookie because the cookie is worse than the cream. And
Right.
then you eat the cookie and the cream together. Like, I don't lick the cream off or anything. That's
Right.
maybe going a little bit too far.
And I do want to say that I don't disrespect any methods of eating Oreo. If you
Right.
just stack up all the creams and eat those separately, that whatever, that's certainly a way to eat it.
Right.
Just my preferred method is like, I don't want to say a normal person because I feel like most people don't actually eat it like that, but
Yeah.
like it was probably intended to be eaten.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to throw this in before we get too far. This definitely, definitely at number 8 needs to be a double stuff Oreo. Because the regular Oreos, I don't know if they're better than hot dogs. I mean, obviously, Oreo as a concept is better than hot dog as a concept, but single stuff Oreos are just kind of sad.
I think I gotta come in here with another controversial opinion.
Don't do it.
Double
Don't do
stuffed
it. I know
Oreos
exactly
are
what you're gonna say. Stop.
Double stuffed Oreos are
Stop.
at best marginally better than regular Oreos.
No, that is absolutely false.
At best.
There is a world of difference between the two. Well, on one hand, you've got an understandably average cookie, which is just cookie with icing on it, which is like every cookie. On the other hand,
most cookies do not have icing on them.
Perfect
Anyway.
amount of icing sandwiched between two cookies, which, as I say, you can peel apart and eat one at a time. It's the perfect delivery system for the Oreo ingredients into my mouth, and I really, I mean, I'm glad you said that at least you think double stuffed Oreos are better, even if it's only a little bit better. Because
Well,
if you
I
said
said
they weren't, then
I personally like the ratio of chocolate to cream in the original Oreos at least just as much as double stuff. Okay, I'm not going to dispute
but you
that.
also just bite into Oreos like a sociopath.
I'm not going to dispute that the cream is the best part of an Oreo. That's clearly
All right,
true.
good.
But I just like the ratio myself. I don't like it a double stuffed Oreos ratio any more than a single stuff. So,
Ugh.
all right, before we strangle
There's
each other, let's
there's a
move on to
clear
the next
difference.
one.
Yes. All right, coming in at number 7. Some of you out there might not think this is a better food than an Oreo, but it definitely is a better sandwich than an Oreo, and it is, of course, ravioli. And now this is a better sandwich than an Oreo, of course, because there's so much more variety to it. You can have lots of different kinds of ravioli, but there's only one good kind of Oreo, and it's the double stuff Oreo. And if you disagree with that, I can't believe I would do a podcast with you. This is absurd.
Let me ask you this. Is a double stuffed Oreo better than other flavors of Oreo, like a mint Oreo?
Yes, I do not like most of the other flavors of Oreo, with the exception being the kind of Oreo that's also got chocolate cream in it. Because I like chocolate. I know that's too much for some people, but the chocolate variety of Oreos, and to be clear, I'm not talking about like the reverse Oreos where the cookies are like the golden Oreo cookies and the cream is chocolate. No, there's like an Oreo out there that's just all chocolate, and that is the perfect Oreo.
All right, we spent
Second-
way too much time talking about Oreos at this point.
All right, number
All right.
7, ravioli.
Ravioli is a
Pretty
very
much
good.
speaks for itself.
I mean, it's such a quality food. You've got, cheese, which is one of the best foods there is, and now I have to admit, some people out there might be like, "What is ravioli a sandwich?" But I don't know how you can say it's not. Like, an Uncrustable's a sandwich, and ravioli's just the same thing as an Uncrustable. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's definitely a sandwich, and it's coming in at number 7 on our list. All right, you have anything more to say about ravioli?
No, I feel like if I get back into ravioli, we're just gonna fight about Oreos more. So
Yeah.
we better just continue to distance ourselves.
All right,
From that.
we're gonna take a pause in the list here for me to give an honorable mention to a blank sandwich. Now, some of you may be wondering, what is a blank sandwich? Well, blank sandwich comes from the graphic novel series Bone, or maybe someone else thought of it before that, but that's where I first ever saw it, and it's 2 pieces of bread with nothing in between them. And it's got to be a staple.
But is it really a sandwich?
I mean,
Just two pieces of bread?
yeah, that's what a
With
sandwich is.
No. A sandwich is something with something inside. What does the bread have between it? Nothing?
Right, the nothing is what's in between it. It's not like there's nothing in between it. It's like there's
Look,
nothing in between it.
I know we've gotten a little bit out there with some of the other items on this list, but I don't think I can let a nothing sandwich fly,
All right.
especially after this Oreo disagreement. I'm not feeling too charitable right now.
I can respect your disagreement, but
Yeah.
that is my honorable mention for sandwiches.
All
so
right. I'm not
what
buying
it
it.
is. Bring us number.
Please email us if you
Yeah.
think the sandwich made out of nothing is actually a sandwich.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so bring us number 6 here then, because.
All right. Number 6 on our list has to be the corn dog. I knew you were all thinking it after we had hot dog. Because what is a corn dog but a hot dog that's got bread all the way around it? And I feel like the more bread you have, the more of a sandwich it becomes.
Right, and I cannot overstate enough how much better a corn dog is than a regular hot dog. So corn dog, honestly, first of all, it's clear if you accept that an Uncrustable is a sandwich, a corn dog's clearly a sandwich. But really, the cornbread, and honestly, underrated part of corn dogs that it's always on a stick. It's a really
yeah.
convenient way to eat it, I think.
Right. Imagine if they made Uncrustables on sticks. That might have made the list.
Yeah, it might still have made the list. Number 1, Uncrustable on a stick. No, that's not
You'll
really.
just have to wait and see if that was
That's not
a
really.
joke or if we just blew our entire podcast.
Honestly, the real number 1 blows Uncrustable on a stick out of the water. I just want to say that
Absolutely.
right now, so you're gonna be excited with it. All right,
Definitely.
number 5. This kind of comes as an extension of corn dog is a single French fry. Now you may be
I know
thinking,
what you're thinking. That is definitely a sandwich. I don't even want to hear it.
right, and we agree. I mean, it's the same thing as a corn dog, right? You've got breading with something in the middle. In this case, it's potato, but I think it's clearly a sandwich. And French fries are delicious.
Right.
I don't really think you can eat a single French fry and not be like, man, I want more.
Right. And obviously, the higher you get on the list, the more of them you would want to eat at a time. So French fry is really the perfect balance because you can eat a bunch of them all at once.
Right, and it's
not feel bad about yourself.
yeah, exactly. And like French fry also comes up with a lot of joke opportunities. I know it's not related to the actual food, but since when you order French fries, you don't say I want, like a bunch of French fries. You say I want one, medium fry or large fry or whatever.
Right.
And, there's plenty of joke opportunities because clearly no one in the transaction thinks you mean like a single giant fry, but it definitely opens itself up to jokes in that vein. So
Right.
I think that really only adds to the credibility of French fries as the number 5 sandwich of all time.
Absolutely. And you know what? They're also super versatile. I think we were going there with ravioli, but French fries as well. They're the perfect delivery system for so many condiments.
Yes, that's true. And when you have like loaded fries,
Oh man, yeah. Anything that you put on fries are really the hero of the sandwich world here.
right.
The fry is merely a vessel of delivering that taste to your mouth.
Right. Definitely solid French fry coming in at 5. All right.
Right. Number 4, we have a grilled cheese, but it has to be made with fancy cheese because if you're just using like store-bought sliced American, is it really even a sandwich?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking you were saying that a blank sandwich is not a sandwich, and I have to say I think a blank sandwich is more of a sandwich than a grilled cheese with regular cheese on it.
Yeah, no, I will agree with that. If your cheese does not cost more than all of the rest of the food you eat in that day, your grilled cheese sandwich is invalid.
Let me ask you this: what's your fancy cheese of choice?
Oh man, I really have to go with sharp cheddar, because it's a classic. You can find so many different varieties of it, but once you get to the really high end cheeses, it's a familiar, it's a it's a great entry point for your exotic cheeses because it's just familiar enough while still being a real adventure.
Right, and I think personally, I got to go with Munster cheese. Munster cheese is
Another good one.
with mozzarella coming in a very close second. But Munster cheese is delicious, and honestly, I think it's really appropriate that grilled cheese is number 4 on this list because it's like a sandwich of one of the best foods ever, cheese,
Exactly.
and nothing else. So,
Yeah. If you think about it, it's just bigger ravioli.
yeah, that's true.
And bigger is obviously better. And
Right.
therefore, grilled cheese with fancy cheese is higher on the list than ravioli.
Exactly.
Simple math.
I think this all makes sense. All right.
Right.
Let's take a break here to get your honorable mention for sandwiches.
Right. My honorable mention, I have to say, I was over the course of the week, I was talking to Shelby about our concept for this podcast. I had spent days at this point thinking of sandwiches to add to my list. And I asked her, like, you know, if what would you put on your top 10 sandwich list? And this is the first thing she said, and I honestly could not believe I hadn't thought of it first. So big thanks to Shelby for coming up with, and one of those ice cream sandwiches where the bread part of it is cookies.
Mm.
And that's, I know, a little bit controversial because it's got cookies instead of bread, but once you've put Oreos on the list, you've got to allow this.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get much argument that this is indeed a sandwich.
Right.
And really, it's really kind of hard to imagine that some people buy regular ice cream sandwiches without having, you know, cookies as the ends of the sandwich. I mean, cookies are just objectively better.
Yeah, I don't even know what that stuff is on regular ice cream sandwiches. Like, I was gonna say, like, but the blank is cookies instead, but obviously you heard me just then. I said bread because I don't, like, obviously it's not bread on regular ice cream sandwiches. But I don't know what that stuff is.
Is it not bread? Do we know it's not bread?
I guess I don't know that it's not bread.
We don't know what it is. It could just be chocolate bread.
Could just be chocolate bread.
If you know what it is, please email us. But until then, we're calling it chocolate bread.
Right. So, yeah, my honorable mention again is an ice cream sandwich, but the chocolate bread is cookies.
Right. So solid choice there. All right. We're gonna head into number 3.
Right. Let's bring it back to the realm of reason here.
Back to the more reasonable sandwiches. Coming in at number 3, we have a plate of tortilla chips. You may be thinking, no, I see how you guys think this is a sandwich, but maybe we could just clarify it for some of the more dumbass listeners out there. Basically, you have, you know, 2 wheat-based products with
Right.
other stuff in between. So this is, honestly, it's really just like a loaf of bread with extra steps.
Right.
And I have to say, plate of tortilla chips can be really, really good when you know, especially compared to like just a plain loaf of bread.
Yeah, I would definitely rather eat a plate of tortilla chips than an entire loaf of bread.
Exactly.
So,
Um,
and again with the fries, you've got so many toppings for the chips, except I think you can really go crazy with chips
yeah, agreed.
versus fries.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, I feel like, you know, chips are like fries. I feel like you can eat more chips than fries, right? Like fries are good.
For sure.
Fries are good. Probably a single fry is better than a single tortilla chip. But
Right.
a plate of tortilla chips is really hard to beat, and you'll see we only have 2 other sandwiches on this list.
Yeah,
that
2
are-
other things in the world that could possibly come close to a plate of tortilla
Well, not
chips.
2 other things in the world, just 2 sandwiches that are
Yeah,
better than.
right. You're right. There are only 2 sandwiches that are better sandwiches than a plate of tortilla chips, and one of those things coming in at number 2 is a book. I sense
I'm sorry,
this is.
I don't know why I'm laughing. That's such an obvious sandwich, but
I sense this is where we may have lost some of our listeners, though. If you hadn't stopped listening when we said that a grilled cheese with fancy cheese was a better sandwich than French fries. I know that's a little bit controversial, but I mean, when you stop to think about it, I think you'll agree. But a book is obviously a sandwich.
Right. And so, okay, so let me clarify something here. We're not saying that you should eat a book, because that's obviously absurd.
Right. Books are more of an artistic expression of what a sandwich could be.
Think about it this way. You could write an entire book about sandwiches. Isn't your mind blown? Your mind is blown right
that.
now, right? That
incredible.
shows you how, like, it can contain all of these other sandwiches within it. Yeah. So, I think a book is a very solid number 2 with all the varieties you can have and things like that.
And I mean, if you're really stuck on the eating it concept, you can still put condiments on a book.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from eating it, really.
Yeah, you definitely, like, I would stick to a paperback book, which to me is a little bit less of a sandwich than a hardcover book. I mean, it's like not debatable that a hardcover book is a sandwich. You see, they're so close that I'm even getting them confused as I say this. But so a hardcover book is obviously a sandwich. A paperback book, I can see where maybe you'd be a little bit skeptical, but don't forget that it is obviously still a sandwich.
Yeah, and
don't forget that.
I don't really think this needs any explanation or justification as to why it's a sandwich. It just obviously is one.
Right.
So, all right, and I think that brings us to, you might be wondering, how could you possibly top a book that contains, you can contain all the other sandwiches on the list in the book? Well, here's the answer. Number 1 sandwich is the entire Earth. It is not possible to dispute that there are 2 locations on opposite sides of the Earth with bread in them. Therefore, it's undisputable that the Earth is a sandwich, and really, there's no way you can argue that once it's a sandwich that it's not number 1 on the list here.
Right. For no other reason than, if you think about it, every other sandwich is just a part of this sandwich.
Right.
And so if you could think of anything that's a better sandwich, the entire Earth just contains that.
Every book and sandwich. Book is a sandwich. So really, every sandwich ever made was made on Earth. So I really think it's pretty undisputable that the number 1 sandwich in history is the entire Earth.
Yes. I really don't know what else to say about this.
I think that's the end of that. So, if you liked our list, send us an email. If you disagree or have your own ideas about what can go on this list, also let us know.
Please remember when you're writing your emails what the correct use of "you're a dumbass" versus "I'm a dumbass" is.
Yeah, and maybe we should clarify that before someone messes it up again.
Right.
So "I'm a dumbass" is kind of your standard, what you would go with, unless the situation is changed. "You're a dumbass," I would say, is more for if you have ideas for things first of all, corrections, obviously. If we did something wrong, or said something wrong, or said something you disagree with, it would be appropriate. If you have a better idea than we do, and it's actually better, definitely go there, but keep in mind you run the risk of being a double dumbass yourself if your idea is not up to snuff.
Right, we will absolutely not hesitate to roast you live on the broadcast.
On the broadcast.
So, better watch out if you're gonna try and go the "you're a dumbass" route.
Better not cry if you get broasted. All right, so in all seriousness, I'm gonna recede out of the persona that thinks a book is a sandwich for a second. We obviously went off the rails to try and make this list humorous. So if you liked that, please let us know. We definitely have plenty of ideas for making ridiculous top 10 lists like this. Or if you didn't like it, let us know, and we'll make boring, more serious, but hopefully still funny top 10 lists. All right,
Or we'll just go back to game shows.
I recede back. To quote Bo Burnham, I just blacked out there for a second. All right. Cool. So, we're nearing the end of the podcast here. Let's try and see if we can think of an Olive Garden quote to end on a note on a high note here.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to hear the keyboard sounds in my audio recording here, but I've been desperately Googling this entire podcast, trying to.
I think you've hidden it well.
So, but on the other hand, I feel like I've come up with the past couple quotes, so maybe I'm going to toss this one to you. And
yeah, well, the good news is I have the perfect quote, which
excellent.
is, "I am a dumbass here in the middle of this Olive Garden."
Yes, that is a good way to close out this episode, which is questionable at best. So
yeah. All right. So thanks for listening, everybody. Send us your thoughts on top 10 sandwiches and or anything else. And I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this has been
Joel.
Joel.